Hello guys and welcome back to another weekly What I've Watched. It's Monday and it's freezing. You can hear the wind blowing ridiculously. I apologise. I'm trying to record this on my old phone, which I'm going to give to my son. My camera is kaput, so we're doing it on here for this week. So let me stop waffling and let's get into what I watched last week. Okay, so what date? I think the last thing I spoke to you about last week was Cyrano, which was on the Sunday. Was that right? Is the 4th Sunday? Yeah, it must be right. I think I've logged that as the 4th because I watched it like about 1 o'clock in the morning. Oh, I need to buy it. I love it. I can't tell you how much I love that film. I've been listening to the soundtrack non-stop and I just can't help it. So, on the Monday, on the 4th, I watched The Cursed. Now, this is one I've been wanting to see for ages. I've heard a lot of people speak about it and most of them have been very positive. This is going to be a day, folks, where I can't think of words. So, apologies in advance. My brain is just having a slow day. Every day is a slow day, to be fair. So, The Cursed. This is like a werewolf tale with a difference. I'll tell you what it says. It's by Sean Ellis. So, in the late 19th century, a brutal land baron slaughters a Roma clan, unleashing a curse on his family and village. In the days that follow, the townspeople are plagued by nightmares. The baron's son goes missing and a boy is found murdered. The locals suspect a wild animal, but a visiting pathologist warns of a more sinister presence lurking in the woods. So, as always, there you go, there's other people's ratings. I actually didn't realise I can hit that. No, I can't. My fingers aren't even working today. No. So I can hit that and it will show you anyone I know that's watched this. That is the ratings. I think I gave this a 4. I'll have to go back and check. I really enjoyed this. This is a pretty damn decent horror movie. I'm not the biggest fan of period settings, although I do enjoy it when it's a really well-made movie. This worked wonderfully. I love the fact that it was a curse rather than just your stereotypical background of a werewolf. The special effects were excellent. There's a kind of a different approach also to how the creature looks, which I thought was fantastic. I was really engaged. I liked the characters. I disliked the characters I was meant to dislike. I thought the acting was superb. The cinematography was absolutely stunning. I would thoroughly recommend The Cursed. I think it's a real hidden little gem. It should be a lot bigger than it actually is. I did give it a 4. So I've written very impressive horror. Jesus, I can't even read today neither. Very impressive period horror, great effects, believable performances, and a well thought out story and script. Beautiful cinematography and a different angle on an age-old tradition. So big thumbs up for The Cursed, folks. Check that one out if you can. The next day, on the 5th, I watched The Sea Inside. Now, I don't think no one I know has seen this one. So this is actually a true story. Let me get the guy's name. Ramon San Pedro. So he actually fought for 30 years for the right to end his life. Obviously euthanasia is not legal in a lot of countries. He had an accident as a very young man, a diving accident, and he broke part of a bone in his neck. And as it is, he's bedbound, he's a quadriplegic, he can't move his arms or his legs. Obviously he can move his head. He uses his mouth to sort of like tap out with the stick in his mouth. It sort of follows him, his relationship with his family, someone coming to interview him for a book that they're going to write about his story, and them growing closer. Some other woman that lives in the village has a real thing about him. She does come into the story also. So I've really wanted to see this for quite some time. I love a true story. Anything heart-wrenching is my cup of tea. While the story is really interesting and while Javier Bardem's performance is unbelievable and he is unrecognisable in this, as a matter of fact, me and my husband were watching it and he's going, no it's not. I says it is. I says that's Javier Bardem, I'm sure it is. No, it's not. It was. There was something missing. There is parts in the movie that are gut-wrenching, that are acted superbly. There is nothing wrong with Javier Bardem's performance in this at all, anywhere. It just was missing the real punch for about 3/4 of the movie. There are scenes where it really hits you, that are quite shocking, that were just handled wonderfully. But I do feel we could have got more of an angle into his emotions, into what was going on inside. It's called The Sea Inside, and obviously to me that depicts sort of like tumultuous feelings inside and waves crashing being how he's feeling, but outwardly he can't express any of this. And it wasn't so much about the internal feelings and emotions and conflict, it was more about relationships. I think I gave it a 3 out of 5, yes I did. So I've said a fantastic performance of a true story. I do feel the script could have been elaborated on in some areas and condensed in others to pack more of an emotional punch in the earlier and mid sections of the movie. The final scene is a difficult one, it's very well performed and gives an insight into what more this movie could have delivered. So yeah, 3 out of 5 for The Sea Within. On the 6th I watched Speak. Now this is obviously on the back of Kristen Stewart's performance in Spencer, which was unbelievable. She was robbed, she deserved an Oscar for that performance. This is a movie that she did right back in 2004 about a young girl in high school who undergoes a traumatic incident and just decides, it's called selective mutism, she just decides that she doesn't want to speak. Again, very much a story about her emotions within, but presented really well actually. She is a fantastic actress. I know she gets a really bad rap because of Twilight, which to be fair, I don't feel as teenage movies are that bad. There are a lot of other movies she's done where I feel she's been excellent. I feel she's a really underutilised actress. I feel she has the potential and ability with the right script and the right story to really deliver. And I really enjoyed this one. What more does it say that I haven't told you? Also, during this really difficult time that she's having, her best friend and pretty much everyone in high school has snubbed her because she called the police on the night of a big party and had the party busted. And no one knows the reasons for that, no one knows why, and no one knows what she's going through. It gives a real excellent insight into high school life and the fact that teenage girls can be among the most hideous, horrible individuals in high school. So yeah, thumbs up for me. I really enjoyed it. Sorry I didn't. Yep, 2 people on my friends list there have seen it. Kay, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, and Nadham Manoharan, he gives it a 5 out of 5, so Lisa's dropping her phone. Yeah, I did really enjoy it. I think I give it a 3 out of 5. So on to, oh god, right, okay, so there's who has seen it below. To explain, if you're not in the UK and you're not aware of who Jimmy Savile is, I will put a link if I remember to a review done by Arran from Screen Stars. If you watch me, you will know who Arran is, who did a review on this actual documentary. I'll give you a little bit more of an idea. So Jimmy Savile is a very famous British, he started off as a radio DJ, he then went on to present a show called Top of the Pops, which was basically the only music show that was on telly going right back to the 70s, or was it the 60s, in the UK. He became very famous on the back of his radio show and this, and he went on to present a TV show called Jim Will Fix It, which basically was where he was like a Santa of sorts. Kids would write letters into him to say, Jimmy, can you fix it for me to do this? And it would be things like be a princess for the day, ride a Formula 1 car, just anything that a kid would dream of doing. And he, in some cases, would make that dream a reality. And then, as you can see from the picture there, they would get like a necklace with a big medal that said, Jim Will Fix It for me. And this was a real big thing to have one of these. Now, he also did a lot of charity work behind the scenes. I say behind the scenes, no. He also very publicly did a lot of charity work for hospitals, raised an awful lot of money, became like a national treasure, had very close relationships with the Prime Minister at the time, Margaret Thatcher, and the royals. So much so that Prince Charles would write to ask his advice on how to handle specific things. And there was like, in this documentary, footage of those letters, which a biographer has from when she wrote a biography about Jimmy Savile. So apologies for going into all of that, folks. I did consider doing a video about this. I'm not going to because I'll get irate. Anyway, this guy, this monster, went on, all through his life abused children. Young adults, children, teenagers, both male and female. He did a lot of things that actually weren't covered in that documentary. There was rumours of necrophilia. He would abuse children that were paralysed in hospital beds and couldn't move, that were catatonic. He did a lot of nasty stuff. Now, if you are aware of the Sex Pistols and Johnny Rotten, there is a very famous clip, which I am amazed that was not in this, that was taken in the early 70s of them on a TV show. where Johnny Rotten, obviously, he always liked to push the boundaries, and he said, Jimmy Savile, I can tell you a few things about him. Creepy little fellow. I could tell you a few rumours about Jimmy Savile, but we're not allowed to talk about that at the BBC. Now, historically, obviously, the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, like to cover over scandals such as this, and with the amount of work he was doing for charity, he was untouchable. And the upshot of it is, he was reported. It wasn't taken any further. He denied all allegations. The police deliberately botched the whole inquiry by not telling a girl that had come forward that other girls also were, so they were so frightened. They didn't know they had someone else to back up their story. It was dropped. He died when he was in his 80s, and he had a massive state funeral. He lay like in state, they call it, like a king or queen would, and in his coffin, and everyone came in to see the coffin, and he was like transported through the roads in the back of this big posh hearse, and everybody was throwing roses, and it was a massive day of mourning for this guy. And he was a paedophile, the nastiest of the nasty. Now, it did actually come out after he died, and he never faced any sort of punishment for what he did. He never had the public shame. He died, he had a hero's burial, and then it all came out. This documentary covers that. In my opinion, it covers too much of, with 2 episodes, each are an hour and a half long, and we cover his entire career, everything he did. Jim will fix it, Top of the Pops. We do see interviews from victims, but we spent 3/4 of the length, I feel, talking about the man, his charity work, his career, his relationship with the royals and the Prime Minister, and 1/4 of that time is spent talking about what he did. And I have seen a previous documentary about what he's done, and it's a lot more further reaching than this documentary went into, and I feel it didn't put him across as the monster that he actually is enough. So that's a really long, I do apologise, I know I've spoken for a while about that. I was going to do a true crime video about this. I decided not to. Just to tell you, I'm trying to go away from true crime because you probably notice you rarely see adverts on my channel. I don't monetize any of my film stuff. I was monetizing my true crime stuff because it was the stuff that was getting the views, but anyone that does true crime videos will tell you that YouTube likes to demonetize you for the slightest little thing. So obviously, because crime in its very subject matter is a disturbing thing, they demonetize you. So that's why the decision I made was kind of to come away from true crime, even though it's a fixation and interest of mine. And I'm going to try and concentrate on the true stories behind movies. So that will tie together my love of movies and my interest in just shocking things that happens in real life. So that's to explain that. So I spent a little bit more time talking about Jimmy Savile because it's a subject matter that interests me. So I would say I've seen much better documentaries. I give it a 2.5, I believe, out of 5. So I do apologise, folks. I do waffle. So finally, I have been wanting to see this so long. The Outfit is finally reached UK cinemas, folks. So this, I will read the synopsis. Everyone has something up their sleeves. Leonard is an English tailor who used to craft suits on London's world-famous Savile Row. After a personal tragedy, he's ended up in Chicago, operating a smaller tailor shop in a rough part of town, where he makes beautiful clothes for the only people around who can afford them, a family of vicious gangsters. Okay, so there you go. There's everyone that has seen this on my friends list. You can see it's very popular, and rightly so. Now, this is beautifully shot, it's wonderfully acted, it's an engaging story, but it's one you must pay attention to. I would liken it in its mood to Nightmare Alley. It's quite a complex, not complex, not difficult to understand, but it's quite, you need to really listen to the conversations that are taking place to get where the story is going and to get the relationships. It's something you can't be on your phone fiddling. Now, thankfully, I seen both in the cinema, so the phone thing wasn't an issue. I gave my full attention. I did kind of work out where the story was going. I would say it was predictable in a sense, but that does not take away from the enjoyment. All of the performances were excellent. The script was really good. The story was really good. The little snippets into the tailor shop and the craftsmanship, and it was beautiful to watch. Thoroughly recommend it, although I know it won't be for everyone. It's not fast moving, it's not action packed, it's a story. It's a really good, well put together story. So I think I gave it a 4 out of 5. I did, a 4 out of 5 for the outfit. So on the 9th, I went to the cinema with my son and his friend to see Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore. I went into the cinema and I asked to see The Secrets of Morbius. I kid you not. I'm thinking I'd rather be watching Morbius. I want to go see Morbius. I don't care that everyone says it's terrible, I want to see it. And I asked for The Secrets of Morbius. Thankfully the guy laughed at me and he says, that's 2 movies in 1. So there you have the scores for Fantastic Beasts. Most people don't seem to be liking it. A couple seem to be really liking it. So my viewpoint on this is, if you like the Secret Beasts films, you will like this film. It's very in line with the Harry Potter movies. As we know, it's a sort of like spin-off. This is based prior to the Harry Potter movies, when Dumbledore was a young man. I don't want to go into the storyline about it. What does it tell us? In an effort to thwart Grindelwald's plan of raising pureblood wizards to rule over all non-magical beings, Albus Dumbledore enlists his former student Newt Scamander, is that right? Who agrees to help, though he's unaware of the dangers that lie ahead. Lines are drawn as love and loyalty are tested, even amongst the truest friends and family, in an increasingly divided wizarding world. This was good, I enjoyed it, I liked the effects, although my husband did say that he thought the CGI in places was pretty poor. I quite liked them, I didn't notice that. He said areas in the background were very hazy and blurred. Wasn't something I noticed. I did find it engaging. I liked all the acting performances. We have to mention the fact there's no Johnny Depp, we've got Mads Mikkelsen. It does help that Mads Mikkelsen is amazing. He is a perfect bad guy as Grindelwald. His performance is flawless. I personally am one that don't think they should have taken Johnny Depp from the role, but they did. And we just have to make do with what we have, which in this case is a fantastic replacement. I wouldn't say it's as good as the Harry Potter movies, but I do feel if you enjoyed the other Fantastic Beasts movies, you will enjoy this one because it is pretty much on par with those. Although I gave it a 3.5. Although I will say that there are a couple of scenes at the start. Now this is a 12A, and the kid that we took with us, Isaac's friend, Isaac and his mate are both 11, and he's a vegetarian, and he's very, very anti any kind of animal cruelty, as we all are, obviously, but sometimes, we can see a thing in a movie, we know it's a movie, we know it's not real, but there are a couple of scenes in this that are, for younger children that would be a bit shocked at things happening to animals, be they CGI animals. I will mention that that is a bit of an issue at the start of the movie. Even upset me, to be quite honest, but there we are. I'm a big softie, not that you would know it, but I am. So that evening at home, this is when my son had his sleepover. I went to bed early to watch a few films, and first was Death on the Nile. This is one I missed in the cinema. There's some reviews there of what people thought of it. Oh, a lot of people seen this one. My goodness. So, Agatha Christie, I did see this movie when I was a child, completely forgot who was responsible, but I do feel who is responsible is extremely obvious. Some people say, oh, people just say that. They do this thing where they do this thing where they try and give everyone a motive to be the person that has committed the murder. But I think there were signs going right back to the start of the movie. I did work out who was responsible. There was a little aspect of it I didn't work out, but I did work out the main crux of what was going on. Really good performances. The movie is, above all, beautiful to look at. The cinematography is stunning. It's set in Egypt, and the background and the backdrop on the boat and just like the opulence, everything is beautiful. But I was left a little bit cold. What did I give it? I gave it a 2.5, and I've said it was a run-of-the-mill whodunit, which only stands out due to its beautiful cinematography, something to give a go on a quiet Sunday afternoon. There was a lot of British talent in there. We've got French and Saunders, we had Russell Brand playing a really different role, and I would like to see Russell Brand play more serious roles. Kenneth Branagh is always excellent. I'm not a big fan of Gal Gadot's acting style. I find her very clinical and cold. I don't know why that is. And then I wasn't aware there was a whole massive controversy surrounding, let us scroll down, I didn't know about this, Armie Hammer, and allegations that have been made against him by women, which I wasn't aware of, and apparently that really affected box office takings. I didn't know about it. It was only because I was on here and someone had given it a review which had been removed, and loads of comments, and I'm like, what's going on here? So obviously I delved and found out, but I don't feel you should boycott a film because one person within that has perhaps been an arse or done whatever they've done, a criminal. You have to always think about the other people involved and the amount of people involved in movies, the other actors, actresses, directors, everything. They have to make a living, you know what I mean? Focus on the actor, not his work. So, following evening, this was last night, I watched The Goldfinch. I really wanted to like this. The synopsis looked really excellent. So, the story of a stolen life. A boy in New York is taken in by a wealthy family after his mother is killed in a bombing at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. In a rush of panic, he steals The Goldfinch, a painting that eventually draws him into a world of crime. Now that sounds fantastic to me. There's the... Nope, that's someone's individual review. So there you go. You can see there are a few people there that absolutely love this and a couple of people that were left a bit cold by it. I felt this was very long, very drawn out, quite dull. I found myself losing interest a lot. I feel the story itself is really interesting. If they had have condensed it, I think this is 2.5 hour runtime. If they had have condensed it and taken out a lot, I would have been more interested. I found it kept deviating from the main path and going down roads that's like too much. So we lost interest. This is based on a book, and I would imagine that the book is a lot more interesting to read than the movie is to watch. It maybe is just me, it maybe did not appeal to me. The acting performances were excellent. So you can see the cast there, there's some like pretty, decent actors in there. There's nothing wrong with any of the acting performances. The story itself is solid. I just feel it's too drawn out, it's too long-winded, and it is dull in places. I would say that's perhaps just me. A lot of other people are saying it's one of the best things I've ever seen. I've said it was too long and dull to be entertaining. My mind wandered all over the place on numerous occasions, which is true, it did. And finally, I thought I'd already rated this one. Alone. So, I did. You logged this film as a 2.5. There we go, spoilers, that's what I thought of it. Oh my goodness. So you can see what people thought of this one, and it looks like it's very popular. This is your typical movie about a woman being pursued by a madman. So, a recently widowed traveller is kidnapped by a cold-blooded killer only to escape into the wilderness where she is forced to battle against the elements as her pursuer closes in on her. So I'll leave you with other people's ratings. If I could press the right button once, it would help. If I didn't have fingers like sausages, that would help as well. So, I have seen a lot of versions of this, and when I say a lot of versions, I mean movies that are exactly the same. Revenge would be one that I actually really enjoyed. I was watching this and I was sure I'd seen it before because so many aspects of it were similar, but I feel done much better in other movies. Now the main bad guy in this, I'm really sorry, I'm going to have to come off that, I've forgotten his name. Mark, why do I do this to myself? Menchaca? Him. I thought his performance was excellent. He was a really believable bad guy, he was hideous. He reminded me of the singer of Eagles of Death Metal, that's who he reminded me of. It's an entertaining enough little movie. It's a solid little horror movie. I've scored it a 2.5 purely because I feel I've seen it done many other times and I've seen it done much better. Also, I feel that a lot of what happens is bordering on ridiculous. It's one of those movies that will have you ridiculously frustrated at decisions that are made by the main woman in this. It does have satisfying sections in it. It does have, fist bump moments in it. There are just decisions where you know what's going to happen, you know what the upshot of it's going to be, and it's also predictable. It's like a dot to dot of horror, like at ABC. I would say it's not a bad movie. You're not going to put it off and think, oh, that was absolutely terrible. You are going to be entertained. You just will have seen it a lot of times before. And in my opinion, you will have seen it done much better. I preferred the movie Revenge. I feel it had it properly pushed the boat out. It was really gory. Yes, it had bits in it that were completely unbelievable, but they added an edge of humour. And it was a splatterfest in places. I think about the scenes near the end of the movie where there's so much blood in the house, they're slipping and skidding all over the floor. To me, that amused me no end. There's obviously something wrong with my psyche. But I would say, yeah, you probably will enjoy it, but you will have seen it before. I think I give it a 2.5, and why it's not showing up there is anybody's guess. So that's the screen recorder stopped. I have been talking for 26 minutes. This is much longer than it should be. I went back to playing Sims. I currently have 2 females living in a lovely house. One of them is a gardener. I always have to grow my plants. And the other one is a doctor. I am also still playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I'm sure you're bored to death hearing it. Music wise, I am just constantly listening to Cyrano's soundtrack. I cannot stop listening to it. I tend to have various albums with lots of different artists on that I listen to a lot. Other than Cyrano, I'm still obsessed by the song Lighthouse by Future Islands, which is taken from the movie Titan, which I'm still listening to. I adore that song. I can't get it out of my head. So yeah, I thought I'd tell you each week what I'm playing, what I'm watching, and what I'm listening to. And I'm really bummed that I missed Future Islands played a gig in Belfast on Mother's Day, and I found out about it like a week before, and I'm like, oh my god, I could go and see these guys. Completely sold out everywhere. So I didn't get to go see them, so I was a bit bummed about that. So yeah, that's what's going on, folks. Nothing much else. I will try this week, if I get time, to do a movie linked to a true story. There are a few in the pipeline that I'm thinking about doing. But thank you so much always for you guys that watch and support. I don't usually ask for the whole subscribe, share, thumbs up thing, because I do this for the hobby and I do this for chatting to you guys and the friendships and all that stuff. You know, the growing of the channel isn't something that's particularly important to me. It's all about the quality, guys, not the quantity. So thank you for watching, guys, and I shall look forward to checking in with you all next week and let you know what I've watched. Over and out from Lisa Lips.